And this is KC9VKV, Kilo Charlie 9 Victor, Kilo Victor, and the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG program. If you have a radio that you want to check out the audio, or you need some advice or thoughts, give us a shout. KC9VKV. Here's station way back in there. Station, try again, please. Roger, just went to the Rochester SDR receiver, and I could copy you a little bit. Do you think I'd be better off on the Northeast Pennsylvania SDR?
SDR? Well, you might be. I'm in northern Michigan, so I don't know. I hear you pretty well here, not as well as this morning, though, so it's hard to say. I don't know where my signals go. I have a loop here, so it's not all that direction.
Roger, Roger. Okay, let me flip over. I've got to leave my command position to go to another position to switch SDRs, but I shall return shortly, within a couple of minutes, if I don't get stolen by gypsies on the way. Alrighty, I'm on the Northeast Pennsylvania SDR now. Come back and try it again.
Try it again. KC9VKV, this is WDRE. Hope you're receiving me a little bit better here now.
Roger, I am, sir. I am, sir. What radio are you running?
You're running on the FT920, and I tried to get it adjusted up so it would work a little better. So that's kind of where I'm at. I hope you're copying me a little better. I got the processor on, and it has 4 positions in the equalizer, and I tried to pick the one that you suggested the best to work for me. So anyhow, that's where I'm at. I hope my audio is okay.
Roger, I think that the SDR receiver pitch is slightly off. I'm not sure. Come back and give me a 10 count. If it's slow, a slow 10 count. Okay, I brought that SDR up half a click. Let me hear you now.
Okay, hello, test. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Sounds a lot better. Can you imagine an SDR being 0.05 off frequency?
I am 5 off?
No. I think you're right. I think they're wrong. I have had this problem before that I had to go up 0.06 on the frequency. Don't know what it is, but anyway. So what mic are you running?
This is a Shure 444, old-time microphone. Like I said, I put it on it had the high-low impedance, and I've got it on the low. And I went into the menu, there's 4 choices, and I picked the one that you suggested would be the best. And that's where I am. My processor's showing about half to, maybe a little bit more than half on the ALC right now.
Roger, that's a good position. So you're running about a 3 out of 10 on the compressor?
Let's see. Let me look at the processor here.
Yeah, you want to be running about a 3 on that compressor. A 3 out of 10. Roger.
Correct. About a 10 at the highest again.
Right, but I'm saying you want to be on a 3, compressor level 3. Roger.
Okay. Yep. That's about where I'm at, I guess.
Roger that, and then your ALC should be running a mid-scale to 2/3 somewhere in that area. Roger.
Yep, that's where it's running right now.
Roger, so this SDR's got some compression on the receiver. That's why I run my receiver below AGC compression, because it doesn't suck up between words, but this SDR is. But I can see what it is right after you finish speaking. So it looks like you're giving this SDR about a 10 over signal, 10 over the noise level. Roger?
Okay, that's good to see. That's good to hear. Where's this receiver again? You say in Pennsylvania?
Right, Milford, Pennsylvania, northeast Pennsylvania, Roger.
Roger. Okay, very good. Yeah, I generally get into that area pretty good. I talked to a few guys there. So that's pretty good. I do have a long wire. I do have a vertical antenna, but this big loop I like it the best. It's got the least amount of noise and it sure receives well.
Roger that. Roger that. What kind of noise level, out of curiosity, do you have there?
Well, my noise level today is about an S9. It's pretty high.
Oh, Roger. And what kind of signal am I giving you there, Roger?
Roger. You're about 10 over 9. And I went to the vertical, and it's just about, I went to my long wire. It's just about the same on the long wire, which is about 100 feet.
Roger that. So about a 10 over is what you'd say?
That's correct. Sometimes 15, but 10 over is pretty much the average.
Roger that. Well, gosh, I think you're doing okay there. I hate to give EQ thoughts on an SDR receiver because the frequency response might not be as flat as, by the time it gets to me, as what I know my receiver is. Roger?
Roger. Roger. KC920, I have 4 choices. I have mid and high, I have high end, I have low and high, and I have wide band. And I've got it at the high end, the number 2 position. That's really the only choices I have. I don't have individually choices, just those 4 settings that's already pre-programmed over.
Roger. Whoever's tuning up, please don't tune up on an active frequency. Go 4 clicks up or 5 clicks down somewhere, but do not tune up on an active frequency. It's not good manners. Roger station. Well, I think you're doing okay there. I don't have further advice because I really can't give you an EQ shout because I can't be sure of this receiver's flatness. Roger.
Roger. Okay, well, I know you'll have other people, and I'll listen in, and we'll see how it goes. And conditions get better before you quit. Well, we can try it again. So thanks a lot, Jim. It's been fun. And we'll catch you later. KC9VKV, WBRE.
K1GZL, Jim.
Roger, Charlie. Charlie, stand by just a moment. Station, could you come back again with your call sign slowly and phonetically?
Phonetically? You mean me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay, it's Whiskey Baker 8, Romeo Echo Hotel. WB8RE8.
Is that Whiskey Edward?
Edward?
Whiskey Baker and 8?
8. Roger.
And the name, please?
Please. Jim, Juliet India Mike, same as yours.
Hey, you keep reminding me of what my name is. Thank you so very much. Sometimes I'm really not sure. Thanks a lot, Jim. 3 that away, sir. And maybe we get a little bit better conditions later on today, even matter of fact. And maybe we can do this thing on my receiver so I could critique your EQ. Roger?
Roger, that'll be good. I'll stick around. Take care. WBRE Square.
Roger. And Charlie, this is KC9VKV.
Yeah, hi, Jim. KC9VKV, K1GZL, returning. Yes, I'm sorry I wasn't on last week. I was in the emergency room down at the Upper Connecticut Valley Hospital. I had a nosebleed. It would not quit. They had to cauterize it, and I spent over 2 hours in the hospital. Plus that, I had laryngitis and a bad cold. But I think I'm coming out of it now. K1GZL, and you're 25 over 9.
Hey, now you're copying my excuses from when I was in school, boy. I would come up with a triple header like that, and they would believe me. But anyway, Charlie, I'm copying you on the Northeast Pennsylvania Milford SDR. Sounding good, sir.
Sure.
That's great. That is great. I think you did get me strong around the Rochester one. 2 weeks ago, but that I'm not too sure of. Yeah, we're here, and I don't want to take too much of the time that other people want to get in there. But about what we were discussing, we could work that out with the SDR system there. But boy, I'll tell you, last week at this time, I was not feeling the very best. Jim, go ahead.
Roger, Charlie. Well, I'm glad you're feeling so much better now. It's not good to not feel good. I detest that more than anything, because I usually have a pretty good schedule of what I want to do that day, and I want to get to it, and if I don't feel like getting to it, it's just a very awkward situation. So I'm glad that you're on the mend, Roger.
Sure. Okay, yeah, right now it seems to be okay. It seems to be, so we'll just keep plugging along here. Just to give you an idea how you sound, you're a good copy, beautiful.
A pretty good schedule of what I want to do that day, and I want to get to it, and if I don't feel like getting to it, it's just a very awkward situation. So I'm glad that you're on the mend, Roger.
Okay, I hope you copied that, Jim. Go ahead.
I did, sir. Yeah, I've been playing around with my ALC a little bit, and so I can hear it kind of a little more activity in the average peak modulation than normal. So I might want to adjust down that just a little bit. But for now, it's close enough for government work. Roger.
Roger.
Okay. Are you getting me better directly near Louisville? Or are you getting me better out of Pennsylvania? It probably should be Pennsylvania due to the skip.
I'm getting your let's see here, about 7 dB to 8 dB above my noise level direct, and then on the Milford SDR, it looks like you're like a 10 or a 12 dB above there, Roger. So I'm getting you a little bit better on the SDR this time.
Okay, Roger on that. So it's all skip difference. By the way, we have one whale of a snowstorm heading this way. It should begin tomorrow night, and it could be a foot and a half or maybe more than that if it really gets cranking. It'll be a dry, powdery snow, and we had 1 inch today, so we're up to 122 inches for the season so far on our snowfall. But you sound great, Jim, and I'll stick, I'll work out whatever you want to work out, on what we were discussing on the narrative there at K9VKV, K1GZL.
Roger, Charlie. Yeah, I just haven't found the right stuff. have not found the right stuff at the moment, but I'm on the lookout, and just as soon as I find it, I'll let you know, and we'll be able to take off from there. Would you say my signal? What's my signal strength up there, Charlie?
Right now, you're 20 to 25 over 9. This morning, I was working VK3MO here on 40 with this damaged antenna, and I'm not even aimed down there, and he was peaking 25 over 9.
Roger that. Now, it's your driven element that's in the snow. Is that a Roger?
Well, it's not in the snow. It's collapsed. It is collapsed. Try to visualize a diamond-shaped wire quad, okay? All three elements normally lined up. So what happened on the 23rd of October, of course, 2018, we had a heavy, wet snow. And I mean, the thing was so heavy on a shovel, oh my gosh, it weighed a ton. That thing broke. The rope way up between two poles, which held up the top of the quad. It just broke, and then it fell forward and down, and it fell halfway down toward the bottom of the quad, and it's in a crazy angle. It's leaning forward, and unfortunately, well, my SWR 2.6 to 2.7 to 1. However, the darn thing gets into Australia, and this morning, of course, Ian has a tremendous gain on his antenna, which is two stacked rhombics, one on top of the other, one on top of the other, and I dropped it down to 27 watts, and he was copying me at 10 over 9.
Because I usually have
Okay, I have Ian on here. I don't know if I can find him or not.
Keyword Chief.
Just a sec. I don't want to take too much time on this.
Hello, 3 Mike Oscar near Melbourne in southeast Australia. Yeah, you're 25 over 9, Charlie. Mike, you're
Okay, that was Ian this morning. Go ahead.
Oh, well, he's sounding pretty good there. Sounding pretty good. I was just going to suggest, that 2, standing wave of 2, what is that, 7 or 8%?
Yeah, more than that. For one thing, when I can put out 1,500 watts, okay, with the 15, my grid drive itself is 20 or 19 or 20. My grid drive right now is 5. Go ahead.
Yes. Well, you need to keep a manual antenna tuner on the shelf for just these kinds of occasions. Roger?
Roger.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. I should do that. Absolutely should do that, Jim, and I'm now thinking about that. I am now thinking about that, but I've had so many expenses and so on. I have to be very, very careful. It's going to be into April before I could get this antenna fixed. But what the heck? It works very well. Why it does, I don't know. I don't know why it works as well as it does, but the director and the reflector are in their normal position, but with the collapse of the driven element, I'm sure I'm not getting much RF into the reflector of director. They're not lined up properly or anything. It's a complete. I wouldn't say it's a disaster. If it were a disaster, I'd be 100% shorter and I'd be off the air. But it's awful to wake up one morning, look out, and the driven element is not there, and it had collapsed down on other ropes. Oh boy, what a it was a mess, and it's still up there, but it hasn't broken anymore. And if it breaks anymore, I'll get off the air on 40. Go ahead.
Roger that, Charlie. I was just thinking, you could probably consult eBay, and I would, if I did eBay for a antenna tuner, I would go ahead and get a 3kW antenna tuner, but you could probably pick one of those up for about half price, and being 3kW, it's probably pretty likely that there wouldn't be much difficulty in restoring it to proper operating condition, maybe a little cleanup there and a little burnishing on the load coil and all that stuff, but you could probably, like I say, about half price on eBay, Roger.
Roger.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it, but I've had some other bills I've got to catch up on and all that sort of thing. I still have a little bit of a cough on this cold, so excuse me. I get that tickling sensation, but compared to what I was feeling the other day, over in this last week, it's been terrible. It's been terrible health-wise, but we're trying to get by on it. Okay, I'll sign with you on this one, and we'll try to catch you on. Next, and I'll let you know how much snow we ended up with. It's going to be quite a storm. The heaviest snow will be south of us, probably, about 50, 75 miles. They may get 20 to 30 inches down there. And you get down to Boston, it'll be snow turning to freezing rain and back to snow. Whereas there'll be no changeover up here. It'll just stay cool. Then next week, around Wednesday next week, we have another storm. A snowstorm, but not as much But we're getting pretty well loaded up here with snow. Okay, Jim, I'll turn it back to you, and I appreciate your picking me up. KC9VKV, K1GZL. Always a pleasure.
Roger, likewise, Charlie, always a pleasure. And you were doing, I switched over to my receiver, and your last transmission, you were 8 dB above my residual noise level. So it's a pretty good signal for the antenna being in the shape that it's in. So hopefully, you know, as we approach summer, we can get closer to getting a bucket truck in there and kind of getting that thing restrung, and your signal will be back up to 15 over. So 3's for now, Charlie, and I'm still looking for the material. So it'll just be a little while before I have the ability to find that, and I'll get up with you just as soon as I do. So 3's up towards Canada, Charlie, and we'll catch you later. This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor. And this is the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG program from 3:30 till 5 Eastern. We are running recording, and if you have a radio you want to check the audio on, give us a shout. This is KC9VKV.
Yes,
N8UAX.
N8UAX, go ahead.
Yeah, I came back to see you from this afternoon. I heard that other guy you were trying to adjust. His audio sounds very narrow. Does that sound that way to you too?
You're talking about Jim, WB8 REH?
Yes. It sounded like he had his finger on his nose, which means the bandpass is real narrow or something. That's what I thought I heard. But again, my signal was only about 5 and 5 on him. So, and I'm not an audio person. Okay.
Oh, Roger, yeah. And I was picking him up through an SDR, and I couldn't trust the SDR frequency response. By the time it gets to here, you know, all kinds of things can happen. And so I didn't want to give him any EQ notes monitoring him on SDR. But, you know, that's the thing about, you know, I'm not, what radio did he say he was on?
I thought he said an FT, boy. It was a Yazoo something. FT 920? No. 9 something.
It was a 920.
Yes, an FT 920.
Roger. And does that have a variable bandpass capability?
Not that I know of. I'd have to check. It could be, but not that I know of. I don't have any filters. No.
Okay, Roger. And I'm copying you a little bit better on my my receiver direct. It does sound like you might be a little light on the bottom end. Did you say that you found where your EQ stuff is?
Yes, I only have 3 positions, and I am on the high end. I have mid and high, I have low and high. Those are the 4 choices I have.
You don't have a manual control over your EQ?
No, that's just built into the radio.
Is that right? Well, what about high and low? It's beginning to sound like some kind of a novel. High and low. But if you can go to that position, let's hear you.
Yeah, I'll do that. It'll just take a couple of seconds. And that's where I had it before, so I'll give it a try, but I didn't have to process it.
That's weird. You have 4 preset conditions, and you can't change those. There are 4 preset positions. Roger?
That's correct.
Boy, somebody needs to be shot. Who made them God? You know, I mean, geez. That's, oh well. Well, let's see where we go, high and low.
Okay, now I'm in that position, the high and low position.
Oh, I would stay there.
4 positions. I either have off or I have the 4 positions.
Your high and low is better than where you were. You still need a little top end on top of your high and low, but you can't have it. So I would stay right there. That's a lot fuller than where you were, sir.
Way better.
Roger, you were very mid-rangey before, and that's what I was getting on the SDR, but I couldn't be sure because I couldn't get you on my my receiver to be able to tell for sure. So right now you're a fairly full frequency on the bottom mids, but for my personal taste, I would like to see about 3 or 4 clicks more top end to give you some clarity and enunciation capability, articulation. All that stuff is in the top end, and you know, that's why it's important to have manual equalization, so you don't have to put up with somebody else's considerations of what they think you should be. If you have, when you have manual equalization, you can set it for what you need for the microphone. You know, how do they know what kind of microphone you're going to have, you know?
Yeah, okay, well, I did change it. I'm on the mid and high now. This is position 1, the mid and high. It doesn't look to be as robust, but you might comment on this position. Over.
All right, check your ALC now that you've made that correction. You're rolling off some of the bottom end. Check your ALC to be sure that you're now deflecting mid-scale to 2/3, and also that you're running 3 out of 10 on your compressor. Because now that you've done the EQ, you're restraining some of the audio signal, so your ALC will probably be needed to increase to the to be back to the mid scale to 2/3 deflection. Roger.
Okay, so that would mean I should adjust the compression up a little more.
You should turn your mic level up a little more. That's how you control ALC, is through your mic level.
Yep, okay, here we go. Yep, it should be cranked up. That's a little bit better there now. Okay, testing 1, 2, 3, 4. That's about a half to 2/3. That's about where it's going right now. How does that sound, Lord?
A lot better, a lot better. I think I would go with that and see who salutes. Sally forth with that and see how many people salute, and I think that's the best of all the possibilities that you've run across me so far.
Okay, well, thanks a lot. I appreciate the other guy's help. I'll just stand by here. You guys go ahead, and this gives me another chance. I'm glad you can hear me a little better. Okay, KC9VKV, WV8RE8. I'll stand by.
The only further thought I could have is that your average peak modulation could need to be improved a little bit. You're probably about 4 or 5 dB dynamic range, and you should be about 3. About a 3 is a nice average peak modulation situation. So if your compressor is on a 3, I would move it up to about a 5, and let's listen to you at a 5 on your compressor, Roger.
Okay, well, I've moved it up there. I'm now about halfway, which in mine goes, you could consider the 12 o'clock position here. So I'm halfway up on my compression right now. And about the same with the mic gain for that matter, so it's kind of surprising. But the ALC looks like it's right in the norms here on my meter.
Roger. Okay, I would go with that. That looks a little bit better. You know, the average peak modulation of non-processed is 30%, and then when you manage to get your peak modulation, average peak modulation to say a 3 dB dynamic range, you're probably running about 70% average peak modulation then. And it's the average peak modulation that's important. I mean, anybody unprocessed can hit 100%, but it's how fat your signal is as to how often you hit 100%. So when you start reducing your dynamic range, then you'll be hitting 100% a lot more often, and then your apparent loudness will be maybe twice as loud as what you were.
Okay, well that's good. It looks to be really. I can see it more full on the LC. It's much fuller. It's not quite going up and down. Well, that's good. Yeah, this is all new to me. I've really never messed with this radio that much. My other ones are pretty simple. So thanks a lot, and we'll just stand by here and we'll leave it here for a while. If the signals are good later, maybe I'll check in if you're not busy.
So thanks, WBREH.
Roger that, threes. We'll catch you later. Sounding good. This is KC9VKV in the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG page. If you've got a radio, you want to check the audio, give me a shout. We are recording between now and 5 Eastern, and then we'll post it up on YouTube within a couple of days, and you'll be able to go there and hear your radio audio, and also hear other people's radios also, and be able to compare your signal, your audio curve with theirs and say, hey, I like mine better, or hey, I like his better, and then try to figure out the difference and crank in. That's the thing about manual EQs. You can, crank in the flavor of the week and move things around and not be restricted by somebody else's thought of what your EQ pattern should be. This is KC9VKV. I hear somebody way, way back in there, about a dB off my noise level, but let's see if we've got any magic. Come back and try it again. Okay, you're in great need of getting your average peak modulation up. What radio are you running?
5950 Yaesu.
Yaesu, what model?
950.
550?
950.
Count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
No, 950.
Roger, roger. Well, I would take a look at your compressor. I would engage your compressor at about a 3 out of 10. If you want to bring your average peak modulation up, engage the compressor at about a 3 out of 10. It's not a bunch of compression, but it does start to build your restricted dynamic range. It starts to help fatten your signal. And then I would go to my EQ. I'd add a couple of clicks on the top end of my EQ. And if you wanted to take notes, couple of clicks more on the top end, and then I would go to my ALC and adjust my mic level to where my ALC was mid-scale to 2/3 operation in the ALC range. Roger?
I'll switch on the mic, turn the mic gain down a little bit. How's that sound?
Well, I'm not real sure that you want to be turning it down. You want to be satisfying your ALC, and if I would love for you to turn it up about 200% so I could hear you. However, what you want to do is to satisfy your ALC reading, which is you want to run the ALC between half scale and 2/3. And if you're cranking in about a 3 out of 10 on your compressor, you will start to get a fat signal audio-wise.
Okay, I got mine.
Now that I saw the peaks, but I couldn't understand the words, so come back and maybe not talk quite so fast, and let me hear you.
Yeah, I turned the mic gain up and looked at that. How do you set the ALC? I've never done it before.
All right, the ALC is set by your mic gain. In other words, you go to put yourself in the ALC mode so you can see your meter, and you hit transmit, and you start talking, and you bring your mic gain up to where your ALC is reading mid-scale to 2/3. That's controlled by your mic gain. Roger?
Okay, I got it. I'm going, it's reading about, it's going to about 20, 25.
I'm not sure where you went, sir. Come back and let me see if I can still hear you.
Okay, I turned it up. It's going in the red.
Well, turn your mic gain down till your ALC is reading mid-scale to 2/3 deflection.
Okay. I'm going down about 10.
But first off, you want to go into your compressor and take put your compressor on and adjust it to 3 out of 10. In other words, if you have a 0 to 10 on the compressor, put it on 3, and then take a look at your ALC mode. Roger?
Well, I've never been into this stuff. I really don't know how to set it.
You don't know how to set the compressor? Is that it, Roger?
Well, on the front of the radio, it's got the mic. Where else do you need to set it?
If you're do you know how to go to the menu to get your compressor engaged? Boy, you're very, very peaky, so I can only understand half the words mostly. What you want to do is try to get your average percent of peak modulation up. You know, right now you're unprocessed, and you probably doesn't even sound like you're hitting 100% anytime. It sounds like your audio is very low level. So disregard the compressor right now. Just set your ALC from mid-scale to 2/3 by bringing up your mic gain as you look at the ALC meter. Bring your mic gain up to where the ALC meter is reading mid-scale. That's right in the middle. You know, you might tweak it towards the maximum, but you want to stay out of the red. You don't want your ALC in the red. So I would say mid-scale for the moment. Roger?
Okay. I'm going to set it mid-scale. Looks like it's still trying to
His radio's chopping out anyway.
Yeah, I can't tell whether it's conditions or his audio that's dropping out. I tell you what kind of mic are you running right now? Come up on that mic. I don't care about your ALC. I don't care none of that stuff. Just come up on your mic and talk to me. Come right up on your mic.
Okay.
All right. What's your call sign first off, sir?
Mic gain.
What's your call sign?
WB5BAM.
Right on that mic. Stay right on that mic and give me your call sign.
WB5BAM. WB5BAM.
All right. Give me your call sign phonetically, slowly. Call sign phonetically, slowly.
Bravo, 5, Bravo, Alpha, Mike.
Roger, sir. That's good. Whenever you have difficulty in communication, it's very wise to go to the phonetics, because I once had a conversation with a Frenchman up in Canada, and we did almost the whole thing through phonetics. And amazingly, you know, those towns up there, they don't have a place called George. You know, all of their towns have 3 names simultaneously, you know, and through phonetics we got all that worked out. So, okay, I've got your call sign. What is your name? Give me that phonetically slowly.
Mike, uniform, Romeo, Romeo, Yankee.
Mary, Roger? Okay, sir. And what's your radio? What kind of radio? You have a Yaesu what?
950.
Roger that. Roger that. Well, okay, so we're getting along here, and I'm copying you fairly well up into the mic. So what we want to do is try to get a similar volume without quite as much distortion. So again, when you set that ALC, set it towards maximum, but just try to barely stay out of the red. As you set your ALC, bring your mic gain up to where you're just barely not going in the red. Roger?
Roger. what it's doing right now. It's barely making.
Okay, so we're set at a pretty much good signal there level-wise. What now you want to do is go back and do you have your compressor engaged? Is your compressor turned on? Stay up on that mic and tell me.
Okay, I have it all down.
Try again. The compressor is on. Is that Roger?
Well, the gauge is showing, but there's nothing going up or down on it.
Okay. Well, apparently you're not engaging the compressor, because it should be moving around. You should get a notification in the menu that the compressor is turned on. Roger? Why don't you, if you can, put the compressor on a number 3, 3 out of 10. Put the compressor on a 3 out of 10. Roger, Roger. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor, Kilo Victor. Mary, are you still copying?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm looking for that.
All right, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to move along, and when you find how to adjust the compressor, put it on a number 3. Take notes. If you got a pencil and paper, take notes here. Roger, have you got pencil and paper?
I just understand you there.
Gosh, I can't understand. You're about 3 dB above my noise level, but the audio is just very peaky, not much body. But all right, if you can copy me and you've got a pencil and paper, take notes. When you figure out how to engage the compressor, put it on a 3. If you have a scale of 1 to 10, put it on a 3. Then check your ALC to be sure you're up towards the end of the ALC reading, but not into the red. You want to be about 2/3 of schedule on your ALC reading. And once you have that, then if you can go and find your EQ, you want to put about 4 clicks of top-end EQ on your mic. About 4 clicks of top-end EQ. And when you get that, give me a shout back. Roger?
Trying to find a word instead. When I find it, I'll come back to you.
Roger. EQ stands for equalization. So you'll probably be looking for equalization as opposed to EQ, but they're one and the same. All right, Sarah Mary, we'll say 3s for now, and check back later when you find some of that stuff and make those adjustments. This is KC9VKV in the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG program. If you've got a radio you want to record and hear the audio back on YouTube, give me a shout. We are recording KC9VKV.
November 2, Bravo Uniform Echo.
November 2, Bravo Uniform Echo, go.
Yes, this is November 2, Bravo Uniform Echo. Name's Ron, Romeo Oscar, November.
Roger, Roger. Ron, good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, could I have your call?
Yes, this is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, KC9VKV. My name is Jim Juliet India Mike, and I'm located just on the other side of the Ohio River, right at Louisville, Kentucky. Roger?
So, okay, Jim, very fine. Got a nice copy on you. You're 10 over 9. I'm in the state of New Jersey. The name of the town is Gibbstown, New Jersey, where we're having a rainy type of day today. Temperature's about 40 degrees. So, you got a nice signal out here this afternoon, so I'd just give you a shout back. Over.
Roger, Ron. Now, I have an SDR waiting in the wings for Rochester, New York. How far is that away from you?
Well, I want to say, New York City is about 101 miles southwest of 100. So I'm not sure of what location you're talking about.
Rochester, New York. That's where the SDR is. Oh well, I got a copy on my local receiver. What kind of radio you running there, Ron?
I'm running the IC 7300.
Roger that, and that is doing 100 watts. Is that a Roger?
Well, I'm actually going through a AL80B, and it's about 500 watts, and doing an inverted B, apex at 35 feet, and each end coming down roughly around 15 feet. Over.
Oh, Roger that. Well, I am getting you at about a 6 dB over my noise level. About a 6 dB over my noise level. My receivers reduced RF in the front end to run under AGC compression, so I can get as linear a reception of signals as possible, not discolored by AGC compression. Roger?
Yeah, okay, Jim. Yeah, there's some QSB. That brought you down a little bit that time. So on my end, there's not a lot of QSB on the band this afternoon. Signals up and down. So I just wanted to give you a shout back. And I guess maybe out there a little more right now.
Roger. Last signal, you were 3 dB above my noise level, so conditions are shifting around a little bit. So there you go. Audio sounded all right. I didn't really have enough to actually make comment on it. I like to have just a little bit cleaner audio to really to make any suggestions EQ-wise. Roger?
Oh, okay, yeah, very fine. I turned the power up a little bit. I don't know if that makes any difference or not. But well, I'm peaking about 700 watts now. So, but anyway, yeah, just the conditions this afternoon. Sometimes you're 15 to 20 over, and then the QSB takes you down around, and that's gone. But anyhow, glad I made contact with you. 73, you take care out your way, and then maybe next time conditions will be a little better, and we'll have a better QSO. So KC9VKV,
Roger, Roger. And that name up there was Ron. Is that a Roger?
Yes, Ron.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. And yeah, the way that goes is that my signal will fade down, and then when my signal fades down, the QRM and stuff comes up. When I'm up level-wise, I'm forcing the QRM down, so you don't really hear it. So it's not really the QRM that's actually doing the adjusting. It's my signal strength to you, Roger.
Oh, okay. Well, very fine. Like I say, I've copied the other Friday much better than I am today. So there's just rough topic right now.
Roger that. We'll say 3s for now, and we'll catch you later. Thanks for checking in, and maybe you could check in next Friday, and we'll see how Mother Nature is doing next Friday from your area. 3s for now. This is KC9VKV, and this is the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG program, where we aircheck record from 3:30 till 5 Eastern, and then we put it up on YouTube so everybody can come to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, and that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page. We've got about 420 some odd QSOs now, but you'll be looking for one QSO called My Group Aircheck 11819. That is today's QSO. It is My Group Aircheck 11819. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor.
KC9VKV, Whiskey Kilo 1 Alpha.
Whiskey Kilo 1 Alpha, go.
Hey, Jim. The name here is Dennis. It's Delta Echo November India Sierra at Charleston, South Carolina. And I was wondering how the audio sounds to you today.
Sounds good. Sounds good. You're doing about a 10 over my residual noise level, and sounds. Let me hear you just a little bit more.
Okay, well, it's good talking to you. This is the first time I've heard your little program here. Very good. I'd love to hear what I sound like. Of course, everybody always says how good the signals are, but 90% of the time they're just saying that. Go ahead.
Roger. Now, you might want to go and check your ALC. You might be driving your ALC just a little too hard because you were getting some distortion on your peaks. You want to adjust that ALC to mid-scale to 2/3. In the transmit mode with your hand on the mic gain control to put that ALC in the right place.
Okay, I was running processing, so let me bring it down right about there. Let's see, that's about the peak of the ALC, just about there. How does that sound, Jim?
That's clean. That's clean. Now, I think you should be able to run about a 3 out of 10 on your compressor, and double check your ALC level to make sure it's still mid-scale to 2/3.
Okay, now the compressor is on, and I'm showing less than a 10 on the compressor, so that should be about right. What do you think there, Jim?
It depends on the markings of the compressor. If it's a 0 to 10, I would put it on a 3, about a third of its possibilities.
Okay, there's a 3 right there. How does that sound, Jim?
Oh, I think you got it going on now.
All right, thank you very much, Jim. KC9VKV, WK1A is out.
Roger, sir. 3 is that away. Give me your call sign one more time slowly, phonetically.
Whiskey Kilo 1 Alpha.
That was slowly. Hey, I've got slow fingers here, you know. I've got Whiskey Kilo 1 Alpha, Roger.
That's affirmative. That's affirmative. Go ahead.
And the name?
Dennis, Delta, Echo, India, November, India, Sierra. I remember the old airline pilot joke that the air traffic controller was giving him instructions very fast, and he said, "Sir, do you hear how slow I talk? Well, that's how slow I hear, so please repeat." Go ahead.
Now, I heard just a little bit of distortion there, so go back and check. Be looking at your ALC and make sure that you don't exceed the maximum ALC. You can go right up on the line, but try not to go in the red on the ALC, Roger?
Okay, there's just a little bit less. How's that sound, Jim?
Yeah, I think you got it there. It was just on the peaks, you know. It was just cracking just a little bit on the peaks, Roger.
Roger, thank you very much, Jim. KC9VKV, 73, WK1A.
Roger, and just what's your location, please?
Charleston, South Carolina.
You got it. 3's that away, sir. Thanks for checking in, and if you get a chance, check back in next Friday. Hopefully, all things being equal and the creeks don't rise, we'll be here, and we can compare notes again. So 3's for now. This is KC9VKV in the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG program.
Kilo Echo Sierra Romeo Mike.
Stations, there was quite a few that were right towards my noise level. Try one more time, see if I can hear somebody up there.
Kilo Echo 0 Sierra Romeo Mexico.
Sierra Romeo Mexico. Go ahead.
Roger, KE0 Sierra Romeo Mexico. How am I doing, Jim?
Well, talk to me just a little bit. What's the name there?
The name is Dave. I'm in Kansas City, Missouri. I've been listening to you for about the last half hour, and it looks like you've been giving everybody quite a bit of help.
Roger. Well, that's what we're trying to do. You know, I can hear them and pretty much tell me and my meter, my VU meter. I can sit and look at your audio. I can tell compression levels, dynamic range, average peak modulation, and my ears can tell me what your EQ curve is and what you need to be as far as, you know, the first thing that happens when you send forth your signal into the sky, the first thing that happens when it bounces back down, it's in fairly good shape somewhat. But then sometimes there is another bounce from just a little bit higher that comes down, and it's out of phase with your original signal. And what happens is this thing called cancellation, because it's coming back down at a different phase angle than the first one, since the first one got reflected first, you know. And then when it's so, you have a thing called cancellation when it's out of phase, and it starts canceling from the top of the audio spectrum. So the first thing that goes is your top end of your audio, and it becomes, let me give you an example. It becomes maybe like this, as opposed to nice, sharp, and clean like this. And so what I do is I accentuate the positive a little bit more than what I think I should, because I know that it's going to be the first casualty of war in the signal from one place to the other. So you want to be sure that you've got quite a bit of top-end EQ, it's nice, and you can hear the S's, it's fully articulated, and that can be accentuated by the use of an electret condenser microphone or a condenser microphone itself over a dynamic microphone. So if you have a chance to get a condenser microphone, I would do that. That will increase your upper range intelligibility even in marginal situations. Roger?
Roger that.
Okay, so I don't have a very good signal on you now. It looked like you were only a 3 dB or so above my my noise level. So come right up on that mic and let me hear you right on top of that mic.
Roger that. Yes, I'm using the SM30 Icon desktop microphone, and I have a Icon IC7300
Did you say ICOM 30? I think that's a condenser mic, Roger?
Roger, I have a FM
Okay, so I would say go to your ALC and adjust your mic level to where your ALC is running mid-scale to 2/3. Go to your ALC mode in your multimeter and adjust your mic level to where you're running mid-scale to 2/3 on the meter. Roger? You'll need to do that in the transmit mode. I'm sorry, I think we may have doubled. You'll need to adjust your ALC in the transmit mode. So you go to transmit and you have your control for your mic gain, and you're in the ALC mode of your multimeter, and you adjust the mic gain to where your ALC reading is mid-scale to 2/3. Let's put it in terms of percentage of meter. You want to be mid-scale to 2/3 deflection on your ALC meter, Roger. You don't want to be in the red, but you want to be headed that way. You want to stay within the ALC guidelines, but right towards max on the ALC meter, Roger.
Because I'm just about pushing the red. Okay, now. All right, now I'm right at the edge of the red. How am I doing now?
Doing better. Now I would go to your compressor and put it on a 3. Engage your compressor, and if you have a 0 to 10, put it on a 3. Roger? All right, we're doing better. Now, I want you to go to your EQ, and I want you to crank in about 3 dB, 3 clicks on the top end of your EQ. go to the top end EQ and put on a 3 or thereabouts. If you have a 0 to 5, put it on a 3. If you have a 0 to 10, put it on a 6. Roger?
Yeah, trouble finding an EQ here. Not finding EQ here.
Equalization, Roger.
Okay, let me try this.
EQ is just short for equalization.
What was the setting?
Repeat. Did you say you found equalization?
I believe I do.
Okay. Is it a 3-band or a 2-band EQ?
I believe it's a 3-band.
It's a 3-band. All right. The center EQ you want to leave flat. Center EQ is flat, neither boost nor cut. It's flat. Go to the top end, your top EQ, and put it, if you have a 0 to 10, put it on a 6. If you have a 0 to 5, put it on a 3. Roger?
I did not get the EQ. I thought it was on the EQ. I did not have EQ on the
Right now, it's you're in my noise level, so you really need to get that EQ cranked in there as soon as you can, because it will help me hear what you're saying. Okay, if you have a pencil and paper, do you have a pencil and paper? I'm assuming you said yes, you do have a pencil and paper. I'll give you the short of the situation. On your EQ, you want to set about a 6 out of 10 or a 3 out of 5, depending on how your EQ is readings are nomenclatured. You will either be running a 6 out of 10 or a 3 out of 5. And then the low end, I would put that, make sure that's at flat for the time being. Make sure your bottom end EQ is flat for the time being, and your mid EQ is flat also. You'll be probably making some adjustments on your bottom end EQ later on, but always keep your mid EQ in the flat mode. Also, depending on your radio, make sure that you're operating in the widest mode possible. You want to operate that radio in the widest mode. If you have selections of lesser than 3K, like 28, 25, something like that, make sure that all those are adjusted to maximum width for your radio operation. Roger?
Checking on that. I'm going to let you go, Secretary. Thank you very much. You hear us loud and clear.
Roger. Come back with your call sign again, slowly, phonetically.
Kilo, Echo, 0, Sierra, Romeo, Mexico.
I got you there. And what's the name, please?
The name is Dave.
Give it to me phonetically, please. Dave, is that what I'm copying? Roger. Okay, sir. Thank you very much. And maybe check in next Friday and let me hear you, and we'll figure out how you're doing. Hopefully you can find all those things and crank in those adjustments, and it should help you a great deal. So 3s for now. This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor. The name is Jim, and this is the QSO-VLOG program where we air check record from 3:30 till 5 Eastern, and then we put it up on YouTube as a block, hour-and-a-half long audio video piece, so you can hear your audio. You come to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, and that'll take you to our QSO-VLOG page. We're currently running about 420 QSOs on the first page probably, you will find a QSO that's entitled My Group Aircheck 1/18/19. Today's date, My Group Aircheck 1/18/19, and that will be the hour-and-a-half long QSO that we're doing right now. And it should be either on page 1 or sometimes it winds up on page 2. It all depends on how YouTube is feeling that day. Anyway, this is KC9VKV standing by.
Whiskey America 3 Ocean, WA30.
WA30, go.
Yeah, fine business, Jim. I've watched plenty of your videos on YouTube. Good friend of Charlie's. I work Charlie in the morning, K1GZL that you've worked many times, and I've watched you on there. Name here is Mike, Mexico, India, Kilo Echo. The QTH here is in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, running an ICOM IC7300, running just the hand mic, and I'm running about 700 watts from a homebrew LD MOS amplifier, and running that into a switchable wire beam Moxon that's only about 20 feet off the ground. So back to you.
Oh, well, pretty great. Almost excellent. Now, just my personal thing, depending on if you have the capabilities, I would add just a click or two on the top end, but I wouldn't change a thing other than that.
Yeah, I had somebody in there. Yeah, I agree. I just really like how the hand mic, this is a 7300, and of course they all sound great, but the hand mic's not too terrible, not too terrible of a microphone for this radio. So, yeah, fine business. You're doing very well into here, about 25 over. So what's my signal like, Jim? And I'd like to do a real quick test with you. I think I know where you're located. Let me know where you're located. And I'd like to do a front-to-back test. I'm tuning my Moxon, and I'm able to switch it very quickly from east to west to see if I have any rejection. So I trimmed some of the harnesses today. I want to see if you see any rejection. Back to you.
Okay, I can't give you an S-meter reading because I'm running reduced RF level to stay out of AGC compression. In other words, my RF level is just below AGC compression. So I can't give you a real S-meter reading, but I can give you a signal over noise level, since I'm looking at your signal on a VU meter, which is adjusted for 0 level on your voice peaks, and then when you cease speaking, it drops to read the residual noise level, and it dropped so far, I would say probably around minus 15 dB. So that correlates somewhat similar to an S-meter reading, Roger?
Yeah, Roger. I think I've noticed that on your YouTube videos. I've seen a meter there. I think it's similar, but so I'll give you a little test. This is I believe pointed away from you. No, I'm sorry. This is pointed towards you, away from you, away from you, away from you, and towards you. You may or may not see any difference, but just curious if you do, Jim. Over.
I did not. I could not hear. There was no audio shift. It was at the same level, and I could not hear any white noise difference. So I would say that there, from where my position to you, that control, I could hear you flipping the button, but there was nothing that coincided with a change at that occasion. I've got one suggestion for you. You're absolutely correct about that hand mic. That hand mic, as I understand it, was specifically designed by Bob Heil for ICOM on location. I think he went overseas for a couple of weeks to do that, and that's very unusual for Bob to be into a condenser electret microphone. His whole career has been based around dynamic microphones. So this is a new arena for Bob, and I think he's done an absolutely great job. The sound of that hand mic, most people just want to jerk that hand mic off and put a desk mic on. Well, as soon as they do, if that's a dynamic microphone desk mic, they're losing about 6 dB top-end articulation when they sub the desk mic for the hand mic. But there's a secret that you have to know about that hand mic. You've got to work it across. You have to put it at the corner of your mouth and talk across it as opposed to into it. Because if you talk into an electret microphone like that, you'll get a lot of mouth noise, transients, and plosives. But if you work across it, it's just absolutely gangbusters.
Yeah, Fine Business, Jim, that's exactly what I do. For a while, I was listening to myself and I could hear the breath pops. And for a while, I would get, yes, a clean sock, a tube sock. Yes, it was clean. And I would put it over the mic, and that helped immensely. So, but I've learned to try to stay away from it and talk, like you said, to the corner of this microphone. Well, I've seen here on the S-Meter approximately 2 S units, which is approximately right. With this, I should get 10 to 15 dB front to back on this. But it's very, very hard to tell because you're very strong. So, what you got to do is back down the RF gain till you get to S9 or less, and then do very quick switching and looking at the signal very quickly in between the QS Baker. So, I worked Charlie this morning. Charlie's has a cold, and I don't know if you've talked to him recently, but he's battling a little bit of cold and a cough, so maybe that's why he hasn't been on there with you if that's the case. Back to you, Jim.
Roger, well, Charlie made it this morning, and we did talk for a little bit, and he did tell me about his excursion into ill health, and so hopefully he's on the mend now. It sounds like it. On my receiver, I normally run with a 20 dB pad on, so I've got my Elmer, which is about 3 miles away, and he usually fires up his 50-gallon drum, which is dumping, a bunch. And he doesn't overload, so 20 dB is a nice attenuation. I can copy anybody without any undue distortion. Roger.
Yeah, Roger. What's the equipment that you're running, Jim? I'm not sure of that, and where are you located? I'm not sure. I think Illinois or something like that, but let me know where you're located. Over.
Roger. This is a homebrew condenser microphone into an ARC preamp, into a 3rd octave equalizer, then up to the tabletop for a 6-position rotary switch selector, which selects the radio, and a talk button, it's actually a toggle on, toggle off. And right beside that is a little trim pot for the audio mix level, so I can just within inches key and adjust. Everybody's level is different, so I'm constantly writing audio level. But then from there into an older Yaesu 990 that's been pretty heavily modified coming and going, and out of the Yaesu 990 into SB220, and from the SB220 up to an inverted V. Roger.
W2USR.
All right, there's somebody else in there. I'll let you get back to him there. All right, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot for the contact. Have a great day, and I'll be checking out the vlog on YouTube in a little while, a couple days, and see if I'm in there. So, all right, thanks a lot for the contact. 73s. I'll let the other station call, and I'll sit here and listen for any more comments. Back to you.
Roger, Mike, 3Z away, and you'll be looking, when you go to YouTube and do the call letter search KC9VKV, you'll be looking for the session called My Group Aircheck 11819. My Group Aircheck 11819. Go ahead, station.
Thank you. Whiskey 2, US Radio. We're stationary mobile in Silver Spring, Florida. From another station, I noticed about an S unit, maybe a little bit more difference in signal with it on and then with it off. So, just FYI. Jim, you've helped me out in the past with my hand mic on this radio. I have an HC6 cartridge, a Pro 600 Heil headset on now, and I'd appreciate your expertise to try to dial this in as best I possibly can. Over.
Roger, and I got your call as WTUSR. What's the name, please?
The name is Bill, Bravo India, Lima Lima. Bill, Bravo India, Lima Lima.
Roger, Bill. I would add some top-end EQ for clarity. I would go to the top end. I would add, what's your, well, I would go to a 3 out of 5 or a 6 out of 10 top-end EQ, and let me hear what you sound like.
This EQ is maxed out at the high. I'm at frequency 2800. I'm at level 10 and bandwidth 8.
All right. What radio are you running?
An ST891, which has a similar board to the 1200 and to the Yaesu 3000.
Roger. And your top end widest you can go is 2800?
Negative. I'm at 1 and 3000 in my bandpass.
Okay. And what was that 2800? What was that in regards?
That's my EQ setting with compression.
Gosh, are you still there? Bill, are you still there?
Yeah, Roger. Don't have a lot of power. My amplifier just got overheated.
Station standby. Bill, gosh, give me a shout back later. If you still got a copy, and I understand that you're maxed out on your top-end EQ for that boom mic, the only other option would be to cut back slightly on your bottom end and slightly back on your mid-range. I hate to make an adjustment on the mid-range. I love to leave those flat and then do EQ on the top and the bottom. But you really need a little more articulation in the top end, and if you already maxed out EQ-wise on that, there's no other option but to slide the mid-range back just a click and maybe the bottom end back a couple of clicks. Do you copy that, Roger?
I do. This is Whiskey 2 U.S. Radio. Hopefully you'll be able to copy me. I've got a little SWR issue, but I think I may have it under control. Over.
Roger. Now that didn't sound too bad there. We've got somebody tuning up on the frequency, which is a very inconsiderate thing. You need to take that radio and go plus or minus 4 clicks to do your tuning. Do not tune on an active frequency.
Good luck with that.
Well, I mean, give it a shot. Maybe they can understand English.
Yeah, well, you can always try, but there's inconsiderate abounds on the ham radio bands these days.
Yeah, this is Whiskey 2 USR. Back again, Jim. Can you still copy?
Yeah, I've got you. Go ahead, Bill.
All right, tuner's out of there, and my amplifier looks like it overloaded. I'm back at 100 watts. Hopefully this is enough signal for you to give me a good audio. I copied cutting back on the mids and bass. Again, just to repeat, my bandpass is 100 to 3000, so I'm wide open there. And my EQ on the high side is at 2800, and I'm plus 10, so I can't go much more there. And I think you said to cut back on the mids. Is that correct?
I'll tell you what, right now stay flat on the mids and roll 2 on the bottom end.
All right, stand by. All right, Jim, there was a comment in there. I'm minus 10. I'm 200 on the EQ frequency. I'm minus 10, and bandwidth is 10. Over.
Roger. You're talking parametric EQ?
Roger.
And where are you on the top end parametric?
Top end is at 28.
Just out of curiosity, how far can you slide up on the top end?
That's 3200, 3200.
Try to slide up to 3200. What we're looking for is the syllabic range, which is a little bit above that frequency that you are at, Roger. And if you can get that, then that'll help your articulation, Roger.
Roger, the EQ now is at 32, and but again, the bandpass is at 103,000, so I'm not sure above 3,000 is going to help. What do you think?
Well, this is a 2.4 radio running 3. This is a 2.4 radio running 3, so that'll give you some idea of what EQ would do for you, even though the filters are 2.4. If you have the wherewithal well, anyway, I would go back to that position that you had first, Roger.
Roger. Okay, that's 28. Now, my mid is set frequency at 900. The level is -6, and the bandwidth is 8.
Roger. So you're reducing mid-range by how much?
It's -6, over.
Take the mid-range to flat. Take the mid-range to flat, and let's see what it sounds like.
All right, that's mid-range at flat, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Talk to me for just a minute. I didn't hear much difference there.
I think if he's going to fiddle with his EQs, he should shut off his compression. He's got way too much compression.
Thank you for your comments, sir. I'll be with you in just a second. Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, fine business, Jim. I appreciate the comment as well. Jim, what do you think on compression? I'm only at 2.0 out of a possible 100 on compression. The ALC is mid-range, so I'd be curious as to what you think. Over.
Your dynamic range is about 3 dB, 2.5, 3 dB, which is a very typical average peak modulation. You're probably running about 70% average peak modulation, so you're fine there. I don't know what the other gentleman is hearing, but what is the numbers on your compressor? What does it go from 0 to what?
0 to 100, and I'm currently at 20.
Yeah, that's a 2 out of 10. I usually recommend a 3 out of 10, or thereabouts. I think you're fine there, but I would leave that mid-range EQ flat, because that's the workhorse. 1 KC thereabouts is the workhorse of your frequency realm, and what you're doing is shaping the top and bottom compared to the mid-range. So it doesn't do you much good to screw with the mid-range EQ. I think you want to keep that flat and then do plus and minus in the top and the bottom. Roger.
Okay, help me understand the EQ frequency I have an adjustment there. It's currently at 900. Changing that, what will that do for clarity, over?
Well, normally, mid-range is considered 1 KC or thereabouts. So if you wanted to move your parametric up to 1 KC, that would be considered a more nominal mid-range frequency. Roger?
Okay, moved it up to 1,000. So the mid's currently at 1,000. And if I still need to get a little bit more articulation, should I knock off some more bass?
I would take 2 clicks off the bottom end, just see what it goes.
Okay, we're currently at -17, -17 on the bass. The frequency for that EQ is 200, and the bandwidth is 10.
Okay, what is your parametric on the bottom end? What's your parametric point on the bottom end?
200 currently.
All right, go down to 150. Go down to 150. Stay where you are level-wise, but drop your frequency to 150.
Okay, the only adjustment I have is 100, and I'm currently at 100. Over.
Okay, can you toggle back and forth between 100 and 200 fairly quickly?
Roger. 10 days. This is 100, 100. This is 200, 200 plus.
Roger, do you have any shelving control? Do you have a shelving control on the parametric?
I'm not familiar with that. I only have 3 settings on the parametric equalizer on each of the 3 bands, low, medium, and high.
Okay, do you have a width control on your parametric?
Yes, stand by. Yes, I do. It's currently at 10. 10 out of 10.
You're 10 out of 10?
Correct. 10 out of 10 is currently where it is.
So you're currently as broad as you can be?
Roger that.
Roger. And can you slide up any?
I cannot. 10 is the max that I can go. I can go down, but 10 is the max.
No, I'm at frequency. Can you slide up frequency just a little bit?
Roger. Where do you want to go?
Check 300.
300 up. Stand by.
Station calling, you're off frequency. Very low. At least one click or two.
KD2 MSG.
Yeah, stand by.
Oh, that's... had you made the adjustment by standby?
Yes, stand by. Okay, how's that?
Talk to me about your antenna for a minute.
Yeah, I've got a Tar Heel 100 on the roof of a motorhome, and currently with an extended whip on it. Hopefully this is enough audio for you. Over.
Roger that. Well, I wish you had more top end. I guess it's the element on the boom mic. Are you sure that it's turned around? Are you running a little round windscreen on your boom mic?
That's the Heil headset. It's an HC6 Heil headset, and it's kind of a flat surface, and it's got a small windscreen on it.
And you're sure that you've got it on the right end? Is it easy to turn that over the other way? The mic element?
Easy it is, but this is the other side. Over.
I'm sorry, I missed that. Go ahead.
I said this is the other side of that mic. 1, 2.
And then flip it back the other way?
All right, we're back in what I think is the correct way. Jim, over.
Yeah, I think so too. It seemed like the audio was a lot hotter off that end. Sometimes strange things happen, particularly when you have a windscreen over a microphone, and somehow you could get it turned around the other way. And obviously, that would be a more difficult situation to try to EQ. Roger.
Oh, no question about it. W2USR. So I guess this is about as best I can expect out of this headset. Over.
Roger. I think it sounds pretty good. I would love to hear you cleaner, but it is what it is. So for now, I would say see if anybody salutes. Roger.
Yeah, just out of curiosity, this is real close to the mic element, and this is a little further away. Which is better?
I think you're better a little further away because the windscreen is particularly challenged when you're close. I can hear a lot of blow by when you work it close. Roger.
Yeah, fine business. Hey Jim, I really appreciate it. I get great reports with the hand mic. I was trying to get this thing dialed in to use the headset for convenience, but there might be a need for looking for a different headset. Thanks so much. Really do appreciate it. The 7 trees, and we'll look forward to hearing ourselves on in a couple of days or so. Whiskey 2, United States Radio, Mobile in Silver Springs. We'll be back to you. 7 trees, thanks so much.
Roger. And just remember that hand mic is an electret condenser mic, and I'm not sure about your headset mic, but that condenser mic is a fully articulated condenser mic that, unless you're running a condenser mic, the difference is going to be really obvious. When running a condenser mic is like walking through a door into the room, as opposed to a dynamic mic, which has limited capabilities in the upper frequency response area. Roger.
Yeah, roger that. Well, I thought I was trying the best you can get, but it needs a little bit of work. In any case, thanks so much. 7-3, Whiskey 2 USR.
Roger, Bill. 3 is that away. And we have another station. Go ahead.
KD2 MSJ.
KD2 MFJ.
Kilo Delta 2. Thanks for picking in.
Roger. Well, it's Mother Nature's kind of in and out, and I'm sure I'm in and out to you, but go ahead, sir.
KD2 MSG is Hutch Hotel Uniform Tango Charlie Hotel, and I'm in Buffalo, New York.
Roger, in Buffalo, New York. Well, let me just see now. I have an SDR receiver, and I'm supposed to have a password that keeps my my receiver operational. Come back and let me hear you, sir. I think I'm on the Rochester SDR.
300, and I've got a long wire antenna.
Roger, I think, in retrospect, I think that was Northeast Pennsylvania. I think that's what that was. And my computer's across the room, so anyway, you're making the trip to here, and here is about 3 miles from downtown Louisville on the Indiana side of the Ohio River, Roger.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good for my long wire and fed. I've only got it about probably 30 feet off the ground, so I'm always worried about its directionality.
Roger, well, I'm not real sure that that's true. I do believe that depending on your orientation, that you have a maximum radiation lobes broadband to the element. I know that they say that's not true, but I do believe that's true because you can plainly see the radiation pattern is broadband to the antenna element. Roger?
Yeah, Roger that. The antenna, the wire itself is east-west, so I'm guessing my max is north and south, so it makes sense with Louisville.
Roger, and so your radio, you're running at right at 100 watts, is that a Roger?
95 watts,
Roger that. Roger that. Well, you know, Mother Nature, it's all up to her. And Skywave, you know, there's nothing moving ground wave, so it's all Skywave. So it's up to Mother Nature as to where she puts it all, Roger.
And on your pseudo S meter, how are you receiving it?
I am copying you 8 dB above my residual noise level. I have you 0 level on your voice peaks on the view meter, and then when you cease to speak, it falls down, and it was falling down to a -8, Roger, which it does correlate somewhat to a regular S meter reading, Roger.
Roger, thanks. And I've been following your instructions for the compressor, so I've got that set at 20 out of 100, and my mic gain is about 50. The ALC.
Roger, now your signal has dropped down quite a bit. Mic level, actual mic level is the number is irrelevant. It is what level you have to set your mic level to reach mid-range to 2/3 on your ALC meter, and it doesn't really matter what the mic level numbers are. You're looking more. It's more important to be mid-scale to 2/3 on the ALC reading. Roger.
Roger that on the mic gain, and I'm a little bit high. I'm cranking it down just a bit as I transmit. That looks about 2/3. How's it?
Yeah, I think so. That's good. And you know, some radios, like that 7300, you can push that ALC a little bit further up towards the red because it does have an exceptionally good limiter. But by and large, I would normally keep that at mid-scale to 2/3 on most radios, Roger.
Roger that, and thank you so much for your help, and I'll let somebody else get in there at 73s. I can see it's 2 after the hour, so I know you're probably going to sign off. Again, thanks.
Roger. What was the name again?
This is Hutch, KD2 MFG.
Hutch, is that a Roger?
Roger on Hutch.
KD2 MFG?
It's Kilo Delta 2 Mike Sierra Golf.
Sierra Golf, Roger. All right, well, it's closer than what I thought I was. All right, Hutch, well, thanks for checking in, and maybe you can come back next Friday, same time, same station, same frequency, 7189. We go from 3:30 till 5, Roger.
And 7 to you. Once again, thanks for the option.
Okay, station. There's another station. Go ahead.
This is K0WIX.
WIX. Go ahead.
Yeah, afternoon. I'll make it be short and sweet. I think I heard time was getting ready to get up there, but this is David here. I'm in Southwest Missouri, running Icon 7300 with the ICM Hall desk mic, going through a marathon, running about 600 watts. Over.
Sounding pretty good there. Sounding pretty good. 600 watts from Missouri. Is that a Roger?
Yeah, that's Roger. I got my settings on a +2 on the treble, and I think I do have a 1 on the bass also. Running 3 on compression, about 50% mic gain.
Roger, and that mic gain just depends on what your ALC reading is. You want to run mid-scale to 2/3 on your ALC.
Yeah, we're running about 60%.
Yeah, you could be up just a little bit hotter, maybe 2/3, Roger.
Well, I just been sitting here a long time. I thought, well, I'd try to get in anyways and just see if it's sounding okay. I like the stock mic on 7300, but I'm getting lazy and older, and how ICM works pretty good.
Roger, you say you're running the 7300 stock hand mic?
No, I'm running the Howe ICM desk mic.
Okay, I would come up a couple of clicks or 3 on the top end EQ. I would add just a little bit more brightness to your top end EQ on that mic, Roger.
Okay, we went up just a little bit more on there. Got it set up to 3 now. I think that's where Bob even says he likes them.
Yeah, Roger. A top end, that's the first thing that goes in inclement weather down the road is your top end, because it has to do with reflected waves. Your primary wave is coming in at a certain phase angle, and then if you get a little bit more blow by from higher, it comes back slightly delayed and out of phase with the original. And the first thing that is phase angle cancellation is the top end. So I always try to crank in a little more top end than what I think should be, because I know that it's going to be the first casualty down the road, Roger.
Roger. Well, I'll let you go there. I just wanted to kind of jump in, and I can even tell on all the meters as like ALC and the compression meter. I'm watching them all at the same time, and even the amplifier. By adding just a little bit more high in there, everything's reacting more too. Over.
Roger that. Roger that. All right. Well, sounding good, sir. If you get a chance, check back with us next Friday, 3:30 to 5, Roger, on this frequency.
I sure will, and I appreciate it. I'll get out of here. K0WIX 73.
BAL, is that a Roger?
Alpha Mike.
Alpha Mike station, go ahead.
Yeah, I've adjusted on it a little. I don't know if it's done any good or not.
Oh, Roger, yeah, we were working with you earlier, Roger.
That's Roger.
Well, let's see, what mic are you running?
The one that comes with the radio.
The stock and the radio, what radio are you running?
KC9VKV.
Okay, what I would do is work. I think everything is sounding a lot better. It is sounding a lot better. You need just to work that microphone just a little bit differently. I would work it from the corner of my mouth and talk across it. I would not talk directly into it, but across it, Roger.
Okay, how about that? Holding it to the side.
Yes, sir. I think that's 80-90% increase in intelligibility without any of the negative aspects of that microphone if trying to work directly into it. Roger, tell me about your antenna for just a minute.
It's a G5RV.
Put a little bit longer sentence together.
It's a G5RV.
Roger, I just need a little bit more audio, sir. That's what I'm asking you to give me a little bit more, a longer sentence, Roger.
Okay, Roger, 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 Roger.
All right. I got you, Roger, Roger. Look good. Your dynamic range looked to be about 2.5 to 3 dB, so it's just perfect. I think you're ready to go there, sir.
Okay, I found out it had a signal processor on it too, so I turned that off.
Roger, it looks like I say your dynamic range looks to be about between 2 and 3 dB. So that's nice fat audio. I would say close enough. I would get the super glue and the Gorilla Tape, whatever it takes to put all those controls to make sure they don't get moved. Roger.
Roger, I appreciate your help.
Roger, Roger. 3's that away, sir. You have a real good afternoon. I think we're going to wrap up. We've been rolling since 3:30 this afternoon. We do it every Friday, so if you didn't make it this time, remember next Friday. Try to check in a little bit earlier. And between 3:30 and 5, we roll our air check. And we will have this one available up on YouTube within the next couple of days. It'll probably be sooner than that, but I don't like to commit to something that I can't be absolutely sure of. So I know in a couple of days I'll have it up. So we'll just leave it at that. And we appreciate everybody that checked in, all the participants. And this is KC9VKV, and the QSO-VLOG program will be clear for now, and see you next Friday. KC9VKV clear.
VE3LWW.
WW station quickly.
QSO Victor Echo 3, Lima Whiskey. Name here is Lincoln. I'm up here in Markham, Ontario, Canada. I just wanted to throw a bean in your pocket before you shut down there. Over.
Roger, well, you're doing really good, sir. It looks like you're about 10 dB over my noise level. What kind of signal are we giving you up that way?
You're giving me about 5.9. I think my XWR is a bit wonky. I think I got a 2.5. Probably need to go and retune the antenna tuner here, but you're giving me about 5.9 here. Crystal clear audio, over.
Roger that. Okay, so come back again and give me your call sign phonetically and slowly.
Victor Echo 3, Lima Whiskey, QSO.
Roger, and the name?
Name is Lincoln, Lima, India, November, Charlie, Oscar, Lima, November.
Lincoln, I copy. Is that a Roger?
It is affirmative there, over.
All right, sir. We appreciate the shout, and thanks for checking in. We do this every Friday from 3:30 till 5. We run Aircheck, continuous recording between 3:30 and 5, and on 7189. And then within the next couple of days, we're loaded up onto YouTube. And if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page. And on that page, look for a QSO entitled My Group Aircheck 11819. My Group Aircheck 11819. Roger?
QSO on that, sir. We'll do that when we get the chance to it. But for now, we'll just say send the greets here, and hopefully we can do this again next week.
Roger, Lincoln. Well, thanks to you, sir, and you have a good afternoon, a good evening. Thanks for checking in. This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, and we are going bye-bye for sure now, so thanks everybody for participating, and we'll see you next Friday, 3:30. Bye-bye. KC9VKV, clear.
Oh, not one more. W4AUV?
AUV, go ahead.
Yeah, okay, yeah, you're 20 over S9 here. The call is Whiskey 4 Alpha United Victor. Name is Dale, Delta Alpha Lima Echo, and I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina. Go ahead.
Some of my old stomping grounds. As a young man, I worked for a couple of stations down around Fayetteville and Fort Bragg, and that was in 1976 or thereabouts.
Okay, what's the name there?
The name is Jim, Juliet, India, Mike. And again, the call sign is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor, Kilo Victor. We're located just a hop, skip, and a jump from Louisville, about 3 miles from downtown Louisville on the Indiana side. Roger.
Okay, very good. KC9VKV, W4AUV. Just running a little 480 SAT here right now. The mobile rig, I brought it in from the vehicle, and 100 watts to a big wire up about 70 feet, fed with some 4-inch homemade open wire line. Okay, so there you have it. I was going to ask you something, but I don't know, another senior. Oh, you sound like you were in broadcasting. I also work in broadcasting. Go ahead.
Sir. Well, yeah, we spent 50 years along the way and collected, about 1,000 different productions and things. If you go to YouTube and do, instead of our QSO-VLOG is an offset from our main page. Our main page is called Jim Ferguson's Radio Story with 2 S's. And that will take you to our main page. And there we have a bunch of specials, comedy, music specials, just stuff that we've done along the way, Roger.
Okay, so you were what? You were an actor, but not engineering, okay?
Not engineering, no. We were in production and on air.
Oh, okay, all right, I got you. All right, very good. I'm one of those guys that keeps you guys on the air. Okay, good. Well, interesting. You never know who you run across there on the radio. Anyways, it sounds like you were headed off the air, so I'll be looking forward to hearing our part of the QSO there on your vlog thing. So, okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from Raleigh, North Carolina. Have a good weekend. KC9VKV, W4AUV.
Roger, Roger, and your audio is sounding beautiful. I wouldn't change a thing there. EQ is just right, exactly spot on. So we'll catch you later. This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor, Kilo Victor. We've enjoyed it. Hope you have, and we'll see you next Friday at 3:30. KC9VKV, clear.